Okay, July 15th. I'm going to cover two things today. The first is going to be in 1971, Richard Nixon announced that he was going to go to China in 1972, the next year, to open up relations with the Chinese. And this was a big deal because Nixon was very much an opponent of the communists in China. He'd been very vocal against the communists in China. And so for him to go, it signaled a really big change in our foreign relations at that time. So scholars think there were two reasons why he might have done this or why he decided to do this. The first being we were still stuck in Vietnam. And even though he had promised the American people that we would get out with honor, we were still there. And it was felt that if we had better relations with the Chinese and we started building economic relationships and all these things, that the Chinese would help influence the North Vietnamese and help bring that war to a close, which of course it didn't happen until 1975. But so that was the one reason. The second reason was the communists in China had kind of broken with the communists in the Soviet Union. And it was felt that if we had good relationships with the Chinese and the communists in China, we could use that against the Soviets as leveraging and blocks like that. So those were the two reasons why he ended up going to China. So he announced today in 1971 that he was going. The second thing was in 1979, President Jimmy Carter gave a speech. The nation was in a really bad recession, and we were still feeling the effects in 1979 of the OPEC cutting production of oil in 1973. And so gas prices were high, inflation was high, unemployment was high. And when he called together all these leaders in these various industries and various walks of life, it was generally felt that there was, in Carter's words, a crisis of confidence. And so this is considered his crisis of confidence speech. And that he basically was saying that the American people had kind of lost confidence in the government and lost confidence in the future. And they weren't very optimistic. And that was what was causing or keeping us in this poor economic state. So one of the things he launched was a new energy policy. He tried to create what's called a solar bank, which basically in his vision that eventually 20% of our power would be solar power. That, of course, hasn't happened yet. We're getting there, but we're 40 years on almost. So anyway, that's what happened today, July 15th. I'll see you tomorrow.